Hey everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fog. I'm your host Casey, and with me once again is the beautiful and wonderful and awesome Veronica.
Yeah, but she couldn't make it today, so you just give me.
Aww.
Hi. Good evening. Or good morning.
So, let's talk about the fun haunted stuff we did this past 2 weeks.
Yes, it was an exciting couple of weeks. I wasn't able to do a lot of it for being on mom duty and then just being exhausted from working in finance, or not in finance anymore, working in sales. I guess it's that way with both. There's this thing called month end, and it sucks. So
Yes.
I was busy recovering and babysitting and things, and Casey got to do the fun correspondent work this week. So, Casey, tell me everything. Where was the first place that you went to that you'd like to talk about?
The first place we went was all of us, including you, and Vince at All Things Haunted and his lovely wife. We all went over to the Pumpkin Patch Haunt, right here across the street from our lovely place. We can see it from our backyard, basically. And that was a lot of fun. We got a nice interview with him. We weren't able to do the haunt because the line was really long and we had a bunch of kids with us. So, you know, the kids having to wait in line twice, you know.
Oh, no.
They would not have it. So
They barely had it as it was.
yeah, but we got an awesome interview. So let's go over there and listen to the interview, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, hi. Thanks again for watching. This is All Things Haunted. Today we're at the Flesh Yard in Anaheim, and we're here with Adam. And Adam, hi, thanks for talking with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Adam, what's your role here at the Flesh Yard?
I'm the owner, along with my wife, and along with a lot of people, especially Carl Garrison, has established his haunt at this location. This is our second year. Last year was a real mini feature to get the word out, but this is our full-length feature that we are doing here this year, the Flesh Yard.
The Flesh Yard. What made you come up with that name? It's a pretty interesting name.
That's from Tradition Home. Brandon over there helped me out with the name, so I give credit to him on that.
Okay.
So he's good at creative names, so he helped me out, and that's how it came to be.
So tell us a little bit about the Flesh Yard. Is there a backstory? What's going on
There's
here?
no real huge backstory right now. We're in the middle of fleshing that out, but it's basically just a backwoods type theme, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead influenced, kind of just hillbilly, kind of like that kind of backwoods type theme. So chainsaws and crazy things and werewolves and all that kind of fun stuff.
And how long does it take to go through the maze?
Probably about 10 minutes. We have some interactive features, and so it takes about 10 minutes depending upon how long they find the item that they have to look for in the maze.
Yeah. What kind of challenges did you face building in a lot like this,
Yes.
as opposed to like a warehouse?
So there's a no flat ground. This is a no flat ground of this, so we can see this facade had to be leveled, completely leveled. I mean, Midsummer Scream, we had a nice cement subfloor, so it was really easy to build. But this is a lot that's very off kilter, so we had to face some challenges, and we had to do a lot of building up in certain areas. There's a big dip right here. If you go along the side, there's like huge support structure just to even get it to get level. So that was a huge challenge. And then we had 2 weeks. So we had 2 weeks.
I came over when you guys just started building.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So 2 weeks. So it was crazy nonstop.
So what's your relation with Tradition Haunted House?
Yeah, so a long time ago I was doing my own home haunt, and I did that for a couple years. I did a Texas Chainsaw Massacre like homage. It was basically by the book, major scenes from the movie, exactly to a T. And then I did a little Hansel and Gretel maze at my house. And then my wife said, no more. So we got rid of a lot of the stuff, and then they found me getting rid of a lot of the items. So then once they did, we established a rapport, and I came in as a creative advisor to help them, because they're still young at the time. It's been about 6 or 7 years, so they're only like early 20, maybe 23, 24. So at the time they were just kids out of high school. So I was trying to give them a little bit of advice on on what works, what doesn't work, that kind of thing. So
It was a fun maze. I
Yeah.
went like 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
yeah,
Really
so
cool.
that was my role there.
So thanks so much. So tell us,
Yeah.
how can we find more about the Flesh Yard?
Okay, so we have our website is called pumpkinpatchhaunt.com, all one word, Pumpkin Patch Haunt, and you can find us on Facebook at you can look up the Flesh Yard Haunted House on Facebook, and then we have an Instagram, Flesh Yard on Instagram, and there's a Twitter presence, but not very active on Twitter. But so we have all those social media outlets that you can find us on.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So again, we're here with Adam with the Flesh Yard here in Anaheim, California. And thanks again for watching.
All right, and we're back. And the next thing we did was Vince at All Things Haunted and myself. We went to Higgins Manor down in Mission Viejo. And one of the people that scare there is our good friend Albert at westcoaster.net. Along with a couple of our alumni from Huntington Haunt Experience. So that was a lot of fun to see them and get to go through the attraction. We also got a really, really good interview with Chris, the owner over there, and his partner. So let's go over there and take a listen to the interview, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, so hi. Thanks for watching. This is All Things Haunted. Today we're at Higgins Manor in Mission Viejo, California. And today we're with some of our the masterminds behind this horror. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
My name is Chris Higgins. I'm the owner.
Okay.
I'm his assistant. I'm Pat Weatherby.
Oh, sweet. So tell us a little bit about Higgins Manor. How long have you guys been doing this?
I started Higgins Manor 10 years ago as Higgins Manor, but I've been doing some sort of yard haunt or maze here since 1994.
Great.
And I've just been along with him as a crew, like for at least 4 or 5 years, just doing it with him and slowly progressing with him.
So this isn't a neighborhood. How long did it take you to build this?
We always start about mid-September. Now we've bumped it up to the beginning of September as we've kind of grown into a larger maze.
And your neighbors, they seem to be very supportive.
Nobody's called the cops yet, so it's pretty good.
They're all really nice.
Yeah, everybody's really. We have like on Halloween we do the whole potluck, and everybody's like really into the whole Halloween stuff.
A lot of
so
the other
it's
houses
great.
get into it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I mean, the screams that were coming out of there, it was just absolutely nonstop. The reviews are just amazing. This is probably one of the best things I've seen as far as a yard haunt or a home haunt.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
just as good as anything Not Scary Farm does. Seriously,
Thank you very much.
that is
means a lot
sincere.
to us. Means a lot to us.
So, what's the idea behind this, or a storyline, or do you have one?
Yeah, the storyline, I mean, it kind of developed over the years. It started, I was like, a little unoriginal. I was like, okay, well, what am I going to come up with a name for a haunt? I'll just use my last name.
I love it.
And then it just started as kind of a manor, and then we incorporated the whole story of me trying to take over the community, and then started incorporating like James Irvine and O'Neill family and all the ones that are actual names that people actually get a kick out of.
Right.
When I say, hey, you want to go kill these people for me? They took my land. So it's developed into that whole kind of story-driven.
We kind of incorporate the people that go through the maze as our henchmen.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So we get them involved. And it's kind of evolved into that over like the last
Which most
couple
people
years.
aren't. Most people aren't used to that too.
Yeah, they're not.
Some people come straight. They just want to barrel right through my room. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are you here for?
Yeah.
You're here for a job, right? And so people are. I think because Knott's and a lot of the other places, they don't have the ability to do it because of capacity reasons.
Right.
We like to really make people part of the story, not just passing through the story.
Yeah, we try to not do just the traditional jump scare. We try to have our monsters or play as actors and get the guests, involved in the story as well.
So have you ever worked for a professional haunt, or you just kind of, because this looks really good, it's almost like you have a background in this.
Not really. I think it's just we've.
A lot of hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
A lot of passion.
This is the house I grew up in. 12 years old, 1994 is when I started decorating here. And then every year I just kept adding to it. And then I brought in Pat, I brought in a really good crew that can that help make it is what it is.
Some of our actors and we have another guy that have worked at like pro haunts, like Not Scary Farm and some other people. So they've all been through the circuit, you know.
And how many actors are in here? Because it seemed like a lot.
It varies from day to day, but we
Yeah.
have probably anywhere from about 10 to a dozen or so, maybe a little bit more on better days.
Yeah, better days, plus 12.
And how many rooms are actually in here?
It kind of depends on what you count as a
Yeah,
room.
we have zones, kind of.
It could be about 13 rooms or
That's pretty
14,
big.
kind of depending on if you want to count some of the passageways and whatnot.
Yeah,
which are all,
hallways, corridors.
No, I
but they're all themed. They're not just like a
Right.
blank
Yeah.
corridor. So
I couldn't tell where I was in relation to the rest of the world. Are you going into the backyard? Are you entering the house, the garage?
So we start here on the driveway section. You go down the side yard, takes up about half the backyard, and then you double back and you come through the garage, back onto the driveway, and then back out to the sidewalk.
Crazy. And where do you store all this stuff in the off season?
Most of it. Okay, this is the funny thing. I don't even live here. I live in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Your poor mom.
So I still do it here because we have a following here.
Yeah.
I store all my flats. Everything is in Pasadena.
Oh, okay.
Small garage.
I have a one-car garage, fills up the garage, and then we get a truck every year and haul it back down here.
Absolutely amazing. So where can we find out more about Higgins Manor and when you're running through Halloween, obviously?
If you go to, we're running through Halloween. If you go to higginsmanor.com, that'll direct you to our Facebook page. If you just go to Facebook and search Higgins Manor, we'll pop up. We're also on Instagram. And yeah, like you said, we're running through Halloween, 7 to 10. And something we haven't announced yet, we're just talking about it today. We're going to add an adult night on Friday, November 4th.
Nice.
So it's going to be 18 plus. You have to sign a waiver. There's going to be crude language. There might be some light touching and of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did it last year, and everybody keeps asking us, "Are you
Yeah.
going to do it again? Are you going to do it again?" And now that we've kind of cleared it with all of our cast, because it's kind of a lot to ask of a cast to basically say, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
Yeah.
We kind of up the ante for it.
Yeah,
a lot of people like it.
It's been great. So it's going to be Higgins Manor. It'll be an adult/haunters night.
Well, we'll
on
look for
Friday.
that information on the Facebook page.
Yeah, if
Yes,
you go on the
definitely,
Facebook page, we'll
definitely.
be talking all about it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You wonderful job, guys. This is one of the best things we've seen all season.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you very much.
So,
Means a lot to us.
all right. Well, again, we just want to say thanks again for watching. We're here at Higgins Manor in Mission Viejo. For those of you asked, little sign. It's a home haunt. So again, not a professional haunt, but a home haunt. It's absolutely free, but they do take donations for their adoption rescue that they're supporting. So again, you want to get more information, find Higgins Manor on Facebook. Come on down. They're going to be here tomorrow night, 7 to 10, as well on Halloween. So again, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, we're back. Do you have any questions?
Well, I didn't get to see this one, so tell me everything. Tell me, what was it like when you first driving up to the place? What did it look like from the street?
Well, it's a cul-de-sac, so they actually block the cul-de-sac off. So you have to park on there's a main kind of street that sort of S's through the housing track. Higgins Manor is a home haunt, I guess we should say.
That makes much more sense.
And so you have to park, we had to park probably 2-3 blocks away and walk back up. The attraction is done in partnership with Green Dog Foundation, which is animal rescue in South Orange County. And so the first thing you notice as you're walking up is they have these kind of pop-up tents. Mm-hmm. They're set up and they're selling pet stuff. So Halloween costumes for dogs. They're selling, I believe they have some treats and food and stuff you could get for them, Halloween stuff. And then they had another tent set up with coffee and soda and all kinds of baked goods. And they were selling it all and, taking donations for Green Dog. And then the facade is really, really cool for Higgins Manor. It's very foggy. I don't know what kind of fogger they're using. I was talking to Tyler from Huntington Haunt Experience. He had all the fog machines that they used. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the one that they had out front was able to do 10 liters a minute of fog fluid.
That's a lot of juice.
Yeah, so the whole street just is fogged out.
That's
which
awesome.
is pretty cool. So as you're walking up, the whole street is just fogged out.
What do the neighbors think about that?
You know what? We asked them about that, and they said that the neighbors have been really cool about it. This is their 9th or 10th year doing it. And he said before that, they did a yard display that was pretty elaborate. So all in all, this has been going on for close to 20 years, I think.
That's amazing.
And
do the neighbors get in on it too?
They do on Halloween. From what he said is they block off, the whole street, and all the cars, even the cars on the block, park outside of the cul-de-sac, and they do a whole block party where they do like a potluck, and everybody gets together and has a good time. And they mostly are open the haunt on Halloween for the neighbors, but people can come by and check it out on Halloween as well.
That's incredible that they get everybody involved. I mean, it seems like you don't see that very much anymore.
Yeah, and that neighborhood must be really cool on Halloween, because we parked, like I said, about 2 blocks away, and there was another house with a yard display that was amazing, and it was done up like pirates, and there was like pirate skeletons and cannons and like all this really cool stuff in their yard.
Wow.
And there was another house up a little farther that was really decked out too. So there's a few houses in there that really go all out.
So did you have to wait a long time to get in?
Yeah, it was a decent wait. I'd say like 30, 35 minutes or so.
That's incredible for a home haunt.
Yeah.
That's a popular place.
Yeah, and they took you in small groups, by yourself, and they separated everybody out really good. But one of the really cool things about it is you get lost in it. So usually in a home haunt, you can kind of orient yourself to where you are in the haunt versus where the house is.
Yeah.
But there's parts where you're going through and you're like, am I in the front yard? Am I in the backyard? Am I in the garage? Like, you're not really sure where you are in relation to the house. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how good the detailing is.
How big was the property?
It's just a standard Irvine style house, so I can't think the backyard is too big.
But they made it feel like it was big enough for you to get lost in.
Yeah, so, we got to do a backstage tour, which helped out a lot, because going through without the fog and without, as much lighting and everything, and we had like actual flashlights so they could like point it out. The backyard is this really cool place, and they have like 3 or 4 facades in the backyard that you walk in, and it kind of looks just like a little mining town, and you just kind of like loop around it. Mm-hmm. But that's actually the backyard, but you can't really tell because the facade's close to it, that it blocks out the house.
Oh, wow.
Because they're tall enough to where even if you're looking up, you're just seeing like the top of the facades. You're not seeing the house behind it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It was really well done. A lot of good scares in there, and there's a lot of just fun elements. And you could tell he takes a lot of ideas from other haunts. He was pointing out one of the things that he does. He put in one of those rooms where you have to like duck down. They have the planking on top. Mm-hmm. And, that was kind of like, he said he always had that idea in his head, but he didn't think he could do it. And then he went to Scary Farm and went through Tooth Fairy, which has you duck under there's a spot where you have to duck under, and he's like, well, if they could do it, I'm going to do it. So,
yeah. And they have all those ADA rules.
Yeah. So but the cool thing is you can see elements from other haunts, but he really makes it his own, and he only adds it if it adds to the story.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of this is it's a really good story haunt. There's a solid backstory, and there's actual acting scenes that go on. So there's spots where you get stopped and there's sort of like a scene or something will be explained to you. But the basic idea behind the story is Master Higgins is hiring you as an assassin to go and kill James Irvine, who owns all the property in Irvine, California,
right.
Which is true. Like the Irvine family really did own everything.
Yeah.
But he wanted to become like the main landowner, so he can take over the properties.
What's the time frame of the story?
It has to be turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s, I would say.
Great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and I definitely, hopefully, if they do it next year, we'll be able to find time between Huntington Haunt.
That's awesome. It sounds like a really great experience.
Yeah.
So going through, how long do you feel like you were actually in the attraction?
It was a decent size for being a home haunt. I'd give it maybe somewhere between 6 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
I guess to try to put it into perspective, imagine, going out to just any house. If you live in a house, imagine your house spending 10 minutes, looping back and forth around your own path, going into the backyard, into the front yard. You would make a lot of laps around your house in 10 minutes.
Yeah. But like I said, there's spots where you kind of stop, you're stopped and things happen. So that adds to the time. But the layout's really is decent. It was pretty good.
Did they sell any merchandise? Like for the actual haunt?
No, I don't believe so. They should, though.
You hear that, guys?
Some cool Higgins Manor t-shirts,
Definitely.
Get them out there and, you can give the profits to the Green Dog Foundation. I'm sure plenty of people would have bought them.
It's something that, merch is something that I didn't pay a lot of attention to until I got into the production side of doing a haunt, that people really want to buy your stuff.
Yeah, if they have a really good experience and they have a lot of fun, they want something that they can take home with them.
Yeah, and it's that sense of pride that they have the shirt that says, someplace that they're proud of.
Yeah.
So if they're a haunter and they're, enthusiastic about events like this in general, they want to tell the world, dude, I found this really awesome place.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to ask.
Our closet is filled with haunt shirts from all over, so.
Oh my gosh, and the person that we were going ding dong with on the path going up to Mount Baldy recognized your shirt from Florida.
Yep. Yeah, I have a shirt from Busch Gardens in Florida.
And it doesn't even say Busch Gardens on it. It says, I did it. Right? It says I did it.
It says I did it alone. It was from the Alone Maze. It was the shirt that if you completed the Alone Maze, you got it for free.
So that guy had to know what that shirt was, know where you got it, and the fact that that happened in Busch Gardens.
Yeah, and it was
that's so cool.
It was only an attraction that lasted 2 years, so.
So that tells you that, a t-shirt's like a billboard.
Yeah.
So get on that merch. We know, guys. So if you have any questions, hit us up. So that's Higgins Manor. What else fun and exciting did you do?
The next big thing that we did, I did, was Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. Yeah. And I mostly went because they had the Sliders Unite event where the Decayed Brigade and Scary Farm and Universal came to Dark Harbor, and they all sent in a couple slider monsters, and they put on a show at Dark Harbor, just kind of like getting the haunt family together from all these different locations and having a good time. And it was really cool. It was fun.
Have you ever been to Dark Harbor or to Shipwreck before?
I had been to Shipwreck, I think 2 or 3 times prior, but I'd never been to Dark Harbor.
Okay.
The biggest difference between the two, I would say, is I don't even know what you call it, the festival area outside the boat, but not inside haunted houses.
The Esplanade?
I don't remember. I think when it was Shipwrecked, it was called the festival area. I'm not sure. But at Shipwreck, there was no theme to it. It was just a bunch of fair-style pop-up stands with beer and food.
Works for me.
At Dark Harbor, it has a shipyard theme, so everything is built around and in and through those big containers that they put on the container ships.
Yeah.
So you're kind of surrounded by all these containers, and you're kind of weaving through them. And it's really cool. I mean, it fits into the theme of the area because there's the Port of Long Beach is right there, which is more like the biggest port in the United States.
Which is really funny. I kind of imagine them being filled with Sanrio toys from that whole debacle with the Sanjin that they got bought out or something happened where they couldn't move their cargo. Yeah. I just imagine them unloading the carriers and then dropping them off at Dark Harbor.
Maybe that's what they did. They're we don't have a spot to store these, so you can use them.
We'll take those.
The other thing they like is fire. The tops of all the high points, had those fire pots that shoot off big fireballs into the sky.
They got the fire performers.
And
belly dancers.
Yep, belly dancers. I think they had some freak show stuff going on.
Awesome.
It was cool. The vibe, the overall vibe in the outside area is really cool. The monsters are good out there. They're having a good time. Mazes on the ship. I only got to do 2 of the 3 on the ship, which was Lullaby and B340. Mm-hmm. Both of them were okay. They weren't scary. I didn't find them scary, but I also heard that it was a Wednesday and 80 talent called out and it was a sold out night. So,
Ooh.
so you're waiting a long time to get into these mazes that, feel like they're 2 miles long because they weave through the ship. So when you go, 3, 4, 5 minutes without seeing a talent, you kind of get a little bored in there. But overall, like, the themes were fun, and then each in-boat maze took a famous room. So, like, Lullaby was themed to Scary Mary, which is the ghost of the girl that died at the first-class pool. So the big finale scene, of course, is you walk through the first-class pool, and they didn't really do anything in there, which is kind of interesting, because if anybody's done the Ghosts and Legends tour, there's some really awesome special effects that are built into those rooms. And they didn't use them. So I don't know why they did not use those, but there's like a feet print that show up on the floor, like little wet feet print. Mm-hmm. And so during the Ghosts and Legends tour, and you're standing there, there's a whole thing that happens, and then like you see the feet print run from the pool and like go, kind of out of sight. But they didn't do that. They didn't do anything. There's no special effects in there. Literally, like, you kind of walk out and like, hey, there's the pool. And then you kind of go out.
Huh. Interesting creative choice.
Yeah, and then B340, I don't even know what the theme of that was.
Take a guess. What do you think it was?
I have no idea.
What kind of stuff was in there?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Did it look like a boat?
No and yes. There was a lot of random kind of scenes in there, and I'm not sure what they meant or what they were. The only cool thing about the maze was, one, there was more actors in it than Lullaby, so there's a lot more scare opportunities. Unfortunately, we got stuck in a group of, it was kind of like a conga line situation. The people in front of us, even though there was a gap, they just didn't want to go anywhere. So because they were going slow and stopping at every curtain and refusing to go through, it backed up behind us. And so even though there was 6 people in front of us, it felt like a conga line. Ugh. And then it kind of, ruins the scare for everybody else because they're not moving through. It just kind of ruins it. Yeah. But the cool thing is they used the boiler room. That was like their big scene, and what they've used it before at Shipwrecked. And it's like this giant catwalk where you're probably like 2 or 3 stories above the boiler room. And they did something really cool this year where they added a top layer to the catwalk and they made it drop. So you're like 2 or 3 stories up, and the railings are probably only like 3 feet high. So you have that good vertigo feeling already. And then you get to the middle and the thing just drops, like 3 or 4 inches, and it's pretty cool.
Oh my God. I would throw up.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. So what about the off-boat mazes?
The off-boat mazes, I only got to do Dead Rise, which, again, I'm not really sure what the theme was, other than maybe they were like zombie sailors. I'm not totally sure. There was like a half-sunken boat was the facade that you went into, which looked kind of cool. It was like rusting and coming apart. The thing about this maze, which they don't tell you in the line, is you get wet. And not like Universal Studios wet. Well, if you've been on Jurassic Park in the front row, that kind of wet.
Cool.
Like, I got pretty drenched in this thing. And
that seems like something that they should have disclosed in the
front. There's some pretty hardcore water effects in that attraction, to the point where they had to put, those, when you work in a kitchen, I don't know if you ever worked in a kitchen, and they have those rubber mats with the holes in them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because the floors are always soaking wet.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the floor of the maze was that, because I'm sure people were slipping.
Ugh.
And you could just tell, like, it's out on the blacktop. The floor is a blacktop, but you just see, like, a wet path through the whole thing. So, like, people are just dripping and, stuff splashing everywhere.
That's so gross.
Overall, it was a pretty cool maze, because what they did is they took all those containers that kind of surround this one side of the festival area, and you weave through them. So there's kind of like outdoor portions, and you go like into these cargo containers. And it's really, really loud when the monsters are in there and they're like banging on the sides and stuff.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of good scares, but, overall it was a pretty fun maze. Besides getting soaked and it being nighttime in Long Beach on the water.
Yeah, like the air isn't cold and wet enough.
Yeah. what they needed to do is add about 10 feet straight of fire effects so you get dried as you leave. And then that might have been okay.
Or at least just warmed up a little.
Yeah.
Cool. So what else did you go through?
The next one, the only other one we did was Intrepid. We weren't able to do the circus maze because it was pretty much like 90 minutes plus all night. Which I heard that's the one that everybody loves, so I could see why it was the biggest line. But we did Intrepid, which I had seen some reviews online that were kind of not so stellar about it, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I think from a design perspective and just from like, it's different than the other mazes that they have there. Mm-hmm. And so I think that made it more interesting.
So what do you think was different from your point of view than the general consensus of how it turned out?
There's not a whole lot to it. It's very simplistic.
Okay.
And I think that might be what it is. But I can kind of look past the simplicity, and rather than see it as a bad thing, I can kind of see it as more of an interesting concept.
That's an actual design choice.
Yeah, and most of the people that I got the reviews saw the reviews from were there on media night, which is like opening night.
Yeah.
And when you have a unique maze like Intrepid, it takes the talent a while before they figure out how to use the maze to get scares. Mm-hmm. And I went very, very late in the run. I think it was like the last Wednesday they were open. Mm-hmm. So by then the talent was on fire, and you could really see them, how they learned to use the maze. And even though they're very exposed, because the last half, probably like the last half of the maze is kind of like a chain link fence maze. So you can see through several rooms. And so you can see monsters from like a mile away. And it's not very dark. So what they were doing was, when I went through, they were using each other as distractions, which was cool. It was really cool to see, because it's something that, like, if you go out on the streets in Scary Farm, they do that a lot, but you don't really see it because the monster is the distraction. You're going to see them, but you're not going to see the other monster. Mm-hmm. Here you could see both. So, going in as a haunt designer and a former monster, I know this. And so I'm able to look and be like, okay, that guy's being the distraction. And then you can like look and actually see the other monster setting up for a scare and then getting the scare. And it's really cool to see that play out, like in the wide open. And they were able to do it. And so the talent in there, hats off to them, because I know that had to be a really hard maze to work and figure out.
Yeah. That's a trial and error kind of thing. But you realize people can only look in one direction at a time.
Yeah.
So, you can be, right in front of them. If they turn away for a second, then now they can't see you. It's just, you might as well be, behind a black curtain.
And also what Chainlink does is it makes it hard when you have a lot of it stacked on top of each other. There's kind of an illusion where it makes it really hard to know where the openings are and where there isn't an opening. So there was one slider monster in there that did an amazing scare. I mean, literally floored two people flat on their backs. He was about 3 rooms away, and he was kind of taunting these people all the way through because, again, you could see them all the way through. And he ran and he slid through a bunch of openings that were monster openings. They were like hatches, but he had to kind of do this angular slide, and he must have just figured out the line perfectly, because it didn't look like he could do it, but he did. And he was able to slide right out in front of them and just floored them both right off, full on their backs.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's fantastic. Do you think that was something that was designed intentionally?
No, you could tell it's something that he had to calculate out and probably hit the fence a few times before he figured it out. But yeah, it was really cool. And it was the only maze. Well, no, that's not true. There was a maze on the boat where they split you up, but there wasn't really anything going on. They split people into 2 different hallways. But here they split people up, and you either went upstairs to like a second floor, or you went somewhere else. I don't know where the other way went, because we went upstairs. And it was cool being able to go upstairs too, because they had these little windows and you could actually see the entire maze from above. And when he went downstairs, you ended up, they had like these big sewer pipes, and he had to crawl through them. And you literally had to crawl hands and knees. It was too small to like kind of do the hunch over thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had to full on crawl hands and knees through these things.
Like in Sinister Point, how they made you crawl through somewhere.
Well, do you want to talk about Sliders Unite, or do you want to save that?
I do want to talk about, well, what do you think as far as order and format goes? Do you want to talk about that while we're talking about the Dark Harbor?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so I didn't get to see this, which was a bummer because, you guys should know by now that I'm a huge sliding advocate, especially for female sliders. And at this particular event, there were 2 female sliders from 2 different events, which I thought was super awesome. So tell me, I got to see the video, so I saw the actual show. I recognized some parts, which, you're going to incorporate some things you already know when you have a rehearsal.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I thought that from what I saw, I wasn't there for a rehearsal. I didn't get any insight other than, I was part of a group when they asked, or that this thing was happening. So all I saw was, I heard amazing music. I heard an amazing MC. I was completely impressed by that guy.
Really good, yeah.
And the sliders were, they brought it. Everyone has a different approach to sliding. Not everyone's going to go hardcore trick sliding like the Brigaders do, or like the Brigadiers. It's a different, game. Like, I always tell this to the kids, exhibition sliding is different than street sliding. And you can tell that these monsters are proficient street sliders. A couple of them are exhibition sliders. And the Decade Brigade obviously were exhibition sliders. But the show, it flowed. It showed off their different, strengths. The costuming was great. The lighting was great. You had so much room and so many people.
The sliding area was huge.
I thought that it was incredible. There were a couple of duos that were really fun to watch, and they would, bring something new every time. And, I thought that they worked off each other. I thought that I could feel the camaraderie. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really cool. There's a lot of energy in the show. Mm-hmm. The problem I love the show. I thought it was a great idea. The whole concept of it was fun. Obviously we're both kind of part of the Decade Brigade, so it was a little sad to see them have to hold back.
But it wasn't about flying your own flag. It was about, being a group and doing something as a group, not for one or another to stand out, but to shine as a group.
Yeah.
And that is apparent by the chosen choreography, by, the way that they laid everything out, the way that they had everyone come out in pairs, and like it had a different feel than just like, here's a series of badass people.
Yeah.
Watch them do some badassery.
Well, what I would like to see come out of this is maybe the Dark Harbor monsters. Universal's going to be harder because they hardly have any sliders, and they don't really, as far as I've seen, they haven't really advocated sliding on their monsters. Like, they're kind of standoffish about it. Is maybe them coming to the Decade Brigade practices, or and really pushing themselves, because you could tell there's a lot of talent there. Mm-hmm. And they have totally different styles. Like the Decade Brigade, when they do their jumps, it's like an all-4 kind of power jump. And then when the Dark Harbor people jump, they do no hands, so it's literally all leg.
Core.
Yeah.
Hard.
And to see them jump, 4 or 5 people with no hands is pretty insane.
It is. It's impressive even by Decade Brigade standards. That's impressive.
Yeah, but I could only imagine, like, if they have that much control, being able to do that, then there's so much more that they could do.
Mm-hmm. Just some basic physics.
And I think both the Queen Mary and the Decade Brigaders, like, together could really push each other and really come up with some really interesting things.
Yeah, I think those are 2 flavors that would complement each other in the right situation. Just like with anything else, when you get multiple talented people together, you're going to learn something from each other. And they come from a different place. Their sliding needs are different than Scary Farm. So they're going to have different defaults to the way that they slide. and, even taking street sliding into exhibition sliding, it's just going to be a different approach. But watching the show, I could see definitely there are things that can be learned from both, from all parties.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of fun.
I think it'd be fun. And it'd be pretty fun to, we were talking about this a little while ago, but I still think if anybody wants to do this, let's get it together. I'll help out with it however I can. But I think we need to do a slider Olympics, where anybody that's a slider we'll have to do like a trial of some kind, like they do in the real Olympics. You have to pass some kind of trial to get into the Olympic show.
Yeah, you have to qualify.
But then have tons of different events. We can do the high jump, the limbo, distance jumping, partners, group routine. Like
If we were even thinking like in the way that there's like an ice skating where you have like the freestyle and different things that you have to do. Kind of having a thing like that where it's like choreography between like 2, 3, or 4 monsters.
Yeah.
And then kind of like in gymnastics where you've got the different events, but there's an all around. You've got, we'd have things akin to a floor exercise, akin to the vault, which would be like the what's it called? The box.
the box, yeah.
Different things like that where you're forced to utilize some sort of prop in the trick, but your points are based on how well you use that prop.
Yeah.
The level of skill, yada, yada, yada.
And I'd like to see maybe like a skate park setup where we have a limbo, a high jump, the box, maybe some other interesting elements. And you have like a 1 minute time frame and you do as many kick-ass tricks as you can do within that minute and you're scored on the tricks and like, just like in skating, like finesse, style, whether or not you completed the trick, how hard the trick is. And we have judges and that kind of thing. So it's also like kind of like a skate park style competition.
That would be a lot of fun to see instead of keeping it unique to the one thing like only box tricks or only limbo, having them all laid out and then watching a slider, because this isn't something sliders do often, is to, unless it's like those crazy ass hit the bodies, like let the bodies hit the floor type choreographies where it's 3 minutes of complete madness.
Yeah.
But to have one slider hit all of these obstacles in some sort of planned
Yeah,
routine.
and it'd be interesting to see how they link, how they go from trick to trick, like how they would go through it. And a lot of that would be how it's laid out too. So, you could change it up, make it harder for like the finals or whatever. Mm-hmm. You could do all kinds of fun things.
I think that would be incredible. That'd be a great way to test, the skill bank of a slider.
Yep. All right. I think that about covers Dark Harbor. What do you think?
I wasn't there, so I'm going to say sure.
All right. So now it's time for the surprise.
Oh boy.
I told Veronica I was going to have a surprise topic for the end of our podcast. And you guys get to follow along with us at home. So I'm going to post this video on the blog for this episode. So you can go to our Facebook at Tales from the Fog. And I always pin it to the top. So when this episode's live, it'll be pinned to the top. You can click on it and it'll go to the blog post for this episode. And the video is going to be on here, which I'm going to show Veronica right now. So I'll give you guys a little bit of what it is. And then I'm going to tell you guys to pause it. You can go watch the video and then come back and we're going to talk. When you finish watching the video, come back, hit play. And then we're going to talk about this video because it's amazing and awesome. And it has me pretty excited about the possibilities. So a little backstory on this video. The Disney company has done sort of haunted houses in the past at Disneyland Paris. I think they had something called like the Haunted Hotel of Main Street, which was kind of like a little bit of a walkthrough, but there wasn't really any scaring or anything. It was kind of just like a spooky walkthrough. In Disneyland Paris, they also have under the castle, it's like the evil queen's dungeon, and there's like a dragon under there, so it's kind of like a haunted house. And then at Disneyland in Hong Kong, they've done also a small little haunted house during their Halloween event. This year, Hong Kong Disneyland went all out and did a full-on amazing haunted attraction with actual Disney characters doing scaring.
What?
Yes.
What?
So pause it right now, go over to the blog and watch this video, and then come back and we're going to talk about this. All right?
Oh my God.
All right. And we're back. Veronica, you just watched the video. Give me your reaction.
I want to go.
I know, right? It'd be worth the trip to Hong Kong to go see this thing, right?
Oh my God. I did not expect that. You've been alluding to this like for the last couple of days. I'm like, what could he possibly surprise me with that I would actually be surprised?
Were you surprised?
Oh my God. Just the description before you even showed me the video. I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
But then the video was better, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
It's better than anything you could possibly think they could do.
Not that I think that they could do, because it's Disney and they can do anything.
That's true.
But what they would do, I never would have guessed in a million years that that happened. Oh my God. My face feels numb because I just had this look of awe on my face the entire time watching it. There's even one part where it actually made me jump.
That was the Alice.
The
Mad Hatter
scene.
part, yeah.
Oh my God.
So
it was
good.
so amazing. I want to go so bad.
So then the question is, why the hell does Disney not do this in California?
Well, this is the first year that they're doing it, right? Like to this extent?
To this extent, yeah. But
So-
Disney in California has never even done a small scale haunt like they used to do.
Maybe they feel
Let
like they
alone
can't
a big
compete. I mean, they know they've got Universal and Knott's right next door.
I would
Maybe-
say that's better than anything that Universal and maybe Knott's can do.
Aesthetically, yes. It's better than anything I've ever seen. It's like walking through anything at Disneyland,
Yeah.
but mixing the whole time I'm like, this can't be Disney. It looks like something Disney designed and something Disney financed,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look like something Disney did.
And it's really hard to tell because when there were a lot of scares, and if you watch the video, you'll see this, when there's a lot of scares, it gets very, very, very dark. So it's
Yeah, which
really
makes
hard,
sense.
it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. But when I watched this, I was just blown away. I was like, come on, Disney, bring, a real adult haunted attraction to California. Let's do it. I'm ready.
This has to happen, and I want to work there.
And the thing is like, California is the perfect setup for this. Because you got Disneyland on one side. You have the Mickey's trick-or-treat thing going on. Mm-hmm. The parents can take the little kids over to Mickey's trick-or-treat. And California Adventure, right next door, could have a teen-plus themed haunted attraction event, which the park is already set up for that age demographic anyway.
Yeah.
So why not push it? Do something awesome for Halloween.
So you're thinking just like one thing, because we know that this took place in, like, it was a dedicated building that they were able to use to build this thing in there. I don't know what Knott's has behind the scenes that they could use. I mean, I've never been backstage, so I don't know.
California Adventure?
Oh, yeah. What'd I say, Knott's?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
I can give you two. They have the Hollywood and Dine building, which they never use, which is in the back corner, kind of near Monsters, Inc. ride.
Okay.
Which is a gigantic building, and it's never used for anything. Like, I think you can rent it out for corporate parties.
Oh, is that what they did, like the beer tasting during
and that was where the Flynn arcade was when Tron came out.
Yes. Okay.
And then when California Adventure was being designed, originally there was a train type, kind of like a Big Thunder style roller coaster that also went around Grizzly Peak. And so there is a giant, basically building inside Grizzly Peak that's never been used.
Wow. That would work too.
And I'm sure there's some other little hidden nooks and crannies they could do stuff in.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll have to ask someone I know in Intel.
Yeah.
And see where this could happen. That's amazing. Yeah. It would, I mean, from the outside, it didn't look like a haunted attraction at all. It looked like Small World on the outside. Like just
It just had a little banner, like not even a permanent sign. It was just like a little vinyl banner saying like Nightmare Experiment or something like that.
My goodness gracious. I mean, the moment that you walked into that place, you can tell that it was Disney. It was that universe.
Yeah.
You can tell by the artwork.
I want to know how long they were working on it because it looked very permanent.
It sure did.
So I don't know if it's something they're just planning on keeping there year round and only using it during Halloween.
That would be an attraction year round to me. Why would you take it down? I mean, there's villains in every Disney movie. Why not have a place where the villains go? And I would just leak that outside of that building at Halloween time.
Yeah.
I would keep that thing open all the time as its own attraction where, you could even, how every once in a while they'll replace bits of an attraction and make it more relevant to use a new, more recent movie or something like that. This could be one of those things where you could trade out the scenes because they are kind of modular.
Yeah.
Where you can, kind of whoosh from one to another.
Yeah, it was so they had, was it The Princess and the Frog? Mm-hmm. Then they had Pirates of the Caribbean.
And then Toy
Story, Alice in Wonderland. And I think that was it.
I think that, and then you kind of went back up out of whatever hole you fell into, and then you got out.
Yeah.
I mean, those things aren't related to each other. You could easily switch those out and keep it fresh.
And I wish I knew Chinese because I'm sure whatever they were saying would have really helped with the storyline.
Could be. Whereas it was Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's in Hong Kong, so it was probably Mandarin. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's like they could just do exactly that and bring it here and it would be amazing. I would take it.
It would be amazing. And it was a good long time. I mean, they gave you that really cool show. There was kind of a cool show.
There's like
in
each section had a show bit to it. So there was basically like show, scare section, show, scare section, show, scare section.
And they didn't make you go through single file like the traditional haunt where they kind of force you to experience it in a conga line.
Yeah.
It was like a group. You experienced it as a group and
Yeah, the walkways are pretty big.
Yeah.
You could do like 3 wide maybe.
Enough to where the scare actor could actually come out and mingle with you without having to push you out of the way.
Yeah.
It was neat.
It was very cool. And then
so beautiful.
Now the Mad Hatter scene, do you think it was a plant or a real person?
I don't know.
It was so hard to tell.
I think it was a real person. They're really well practiced.
Yeah.
Because it's a foot trigger. And the foot trigger, shot off the things to drop, the lights, and the music. Mm-hmm. So it was just one control. But the fluidity of the movement and the perfection of the performer, it could have been anyone sitting in that chair. It could have been nobody. It would have been scary. It was perfect. It was amazing. And terrifying. Like, that's the part that actually made me jump. Like, seeing the red in front of the screen was like, ah! Oh my god. So cool. I'm inspired. And the costuming, everybody's costumes were so beautiful.
Yeah, the guy at the beginning, whatever he was supposed to be, is like a very cool, like, steampunk style.
Yeah, I don't know what he was, but it was
thing.
cool.
And his costume was amazing.
Yep, head to toe. Awesome. But that's Disney. Disney always has badass costumes.
So, seeing the video, knowing what Disney can do and potentially what they're willing to do because they did it in Hong Kong, what kind of haunted attraction would you want to see from Disney if they were to do an attraction in California Adventure?
Well, my answer is going to be biased because I have Disney movies that are more prominent in my memory. Mm-hmm. So, like, I haven't seen Princess and the Frog. So, the story, watching that, I wasn't loving it. Like, I still got it, not knowing the story. But I would be more apt to pick movies that I like and villains that I like. I would love to see them take that amazing underwater type feel from the new Little Mermaid Dark Ride and apply that to something kind of like, even if they kept it in the modular thing where it's like the one movie and then you kind of morph into the next movie and then the next one. something that involves Little Mermaid and Ursula. I've always loved the fact, that you can live and breathe underwater.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a lot of fun. You could use a lot of claustrophobic tactics, in something like that. What else? What's a really badass villain? Maybe do something cool with like prosthetics and the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Would be pretty badass. You can create some really cool vertigo-inducing illusions, like being up in the bell tower kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'd say Emperor's New Groove, but Yzma's not like really a villain. I just
However, her little dungeon thing
it would be the perfect intro and outro.
would be so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, if she was like the character to introduce you and see you off, I would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Like her potions or whatever causes the rift that makes you go through all these different places. That would make me happy.
Well, then of course it has to be Kronk that like accidentally spills the
yeah.
potions.
Of course. Of course. Let's see. Two more Disney movies. Maybe you could do 101 Dalmatians.
I was kind of thinking that too. That might be something interesting to do.
It'd be fun. I don't know how you would get the puppies, but it'd be fun if they actually had like trained dogs that could come in every once in a while. Would be neat. It'd be a pain in the ass, but it would be fun.
CGI.
Yeah, I know you can projection map anything.
But really, what you would want to do is go to Cruella's dog coat factory, so it would just be Dalmatian
corpses
and furs, like
yeah,
tanning.
It'd be
tanning
really
the
upsetting.
leather.
It'd be like, how real do you want to make this? Because she's wearing a coat of something that once made noise.
Yep.
Like, we can show that if you want, which would be nasty.
Well, I'll add my 2 to your 2. How about that? Because I can't think of 2 more.
Okay.
The Black Cauldron with the Horned King and his army of skeleton monsters.
Ooh.
And then what was my second one?
Yes.
Shit, what was my other one?
I don't know. I'm cheating and looking at our DVD collection.
Oh, Legends of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So those would be my 2 picks. As far as like theming for the park, what I would want to see is on top of Grizzly Peak, a gigantic Chernobog that breathes fire.
Oh, yes.
And that would be like the icon for the park.
Of course. That would be beautiful. I'd love to see some villains in full garb just walking around, picture opportunities and stuff like that. Doing
Well, that's the cool thing about Disney is each villain can have like their own scare zone with their own minions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you got the photo op with the villain and then you have like their minions running around scaring the crap out of people.
So let's pretend that this is all happening and that the ground that DCA is paved with is slidable. What villains would have pads?
Well, I can tell you one scare zone that would be close to that. Return to Oz. And you have the Wheelers.
With like the extendo arms.
Yeah, but you can have the Wheelers be sliders instead.
That's a great idea.
With like the heads on both sides and...
Definitely. But that's kind of inherent. Like what? Who else?
Trying to think. The Queen of Hearts would be hard because her minions are like card dudes.
I think you can make it work though.
You could kind of make it like the Gauntlet at Scary Farm, like just kind of do the styling.
Where they've got like the vests with the broad shoulders and then like the belt that kind of cinches it in. Where it's still like a card on either side, but like the waist is more defined. Those could definitely be sliders. Pirates,
for sure.
Yep. Who else are there? Herds of them, and they're the bad guy.
Well, the Horn King with his zombie guys.
Mm-hmm.
That was always terrifying. Well, I think that's about it for us. Might as well call it a night. I think we got enough fun juiciness. I hope you guys loved the video.
Oh my god, that video is amazing. It is amazing. And like, I mean, maybe just we think it's amazing because this is what we do and what we love. But I mean, that's just Disney turned on its head.
Yeah, you'd never expect Disney to do something like that.
I never thought I'd see it. I always wanted to.
Yep. Well, now we know. We know what a Disney haunted attraction would look like.
Look, this thing has to be, whether it's just one event in a warehouse somewhere or an actual whole park turned into, a haunted thing, the villains, House of Villains, villainy, or whatever the hell the Imagineers decide to call it. It needs to happen.
It does. All right, let's get out of here.
Okie dokie. Thanks for hanging out thus far. Thanks for coming on the journey of the video. I hope that you were as completely baffled and stupefied as I was after watching that.
You guys should have seen her. I should have videotaped her watching the video because it was awesome.
I'm so glad you did not. But I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you for showing me that. That was
No
very
problem.
cool.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
See you guys.
Thank you for downloading this episode of Tales from the Fog. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you could, please take the time to rate and subscribe to us. It really does help other people find us. And until next time, I'll see you in the fog.